Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Soul Podcasting Podcast. I'm Demetria, here to sprinkle just a little bit of podcasting magic on your creative journey. And if you're ready to elevate your podcast game, you are in the right place. So before we jump in, I've got some exciting updates. This year, I'm not only here on the Soul Podcasting Podcast, but also showing up strong over at Her Business Elevated podcast and my YouTube channel, which is at Demetria Zinga, where I'm sharing all things solopreneur lifestyle. So if you're looking for some inspiration, strategies, or just a peek behind the scenes, you can come join me over there as well. So today, let's talk about one of the most important aspects of creating a podcast that stands out, and that is editing. Today's episode is all about advanced editing tips to help you achieve a polished, professional sound that keeps your audience coming back for more. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the basics. Why does editing matter so much in podcasting? And here's the deal. Your content might be amazing, but if your audio quality isn't on point, it can distract your listeners. So think about it. How many times have you clicked off a podcast because the sound was super choppy, the background noise was distracting, or the speaker was too quiet? Not that your editing has to be perfect, but it's what takes your raw recording and transforms it into something clean, professional, and enjoyable to listen to. It's like the final layer of polish that turns a rough diamond into something that shines. Plus, good editing shows your audience that you care about their experience. It's like saying, hey, I value your time so much that I'm giving you my best work. And when your listeners feel valued, they're going to stick around. So before we dive into some editing tips, let's first talk about the foundation, and that's your recording setup. A clean recording is much easier to edit than fixing major issues later on. I know this from almost 2 decades of editing podcast episodes. My first decade was, I would say, an in-training season for me, and I've learned so much since then. So here's some quick pointers. The first one is that you should invest in a quality microphone. If you do that, I promise you it's going to solve a lot of the issues that could arise later. You don't need to break the bank, but you should invest in a really good microphone because that makes a world of difference. So check out your mics like the Audio-Technica or the Shure MV7 or Shure SM58 for some pro quality sound on a budget. And for those of you who are new to the show and haven't heard me say this so many times, I'm actually on a Blue Yeti right now. So it didn't cost me a lot of money and it's easy to set up and record. Number 2, control your environment. So record in a quiet space with minimal echo. Now, you may have a larger room where there will be some echo inevitably, but if you can have a little bit less of that, throw down a rug or hang up some curtains to absorb some of that sound, close the door, whatever you need to do, that can help you. Just your environmental situation can help with the recording. And number 3, pop filters and mic technique. So you want to use a pop filter to reduce those harsh P and T sounds that you make when you're talking. And you want to keep a consistent distance from your microphone for even volume. So I don't always do this. Sometimes I get a little closer, or sometimes I go back a little bit because I'm excited when I'm talking, but I have to remind myself to stay still. So starting with clean audio means that you'll spend less time fixing issues later on, which is a win-win for everyone. Number 3, think about your advanced editing tips for that professional sound that you want. This is the good stuff. We're going to dive into some advanced editing tips that takes your sound from meh to wow. So the first tip is to cut the filler. Long pauses like ums and ahs and unnecessary tangents, you want to cut them out. Your audience will appreciate a tighter, more engaging episode. So use tools like Descript, which I have played around with, but am not currently using it, but I have heard so many great things about Descript. So this will help you to easily identify and delete filler words with just a click. Number 2, adjust your levels for consistency. So you want to keep your audio levels consistent throughout the episode. Use tools like a compressor that will help you to even out your loud and your quiet parts so that your audience isn't reaching for that volume button every time you get too close to the mic. So make sure that you are using that compressor. You can use a free plugin called Auphonic to normalize your audio automatically. And there's compressor tools in almost every single audio editing software. So be looking for that. And you can have someone in-house, maybe your VA that knows a lot about audio editing, to help you to do that. You can do it on your own, or you can hire out a company like mine that can help you to go in and fix those issues. Number 3, clean up background noise. Even in the best recording environments, background noise can creep in. So Audacity has some tools for noise reduction. Adobe Audition has some tools. And there are features that can help you clean up unwanted hums or static. So if you're going to be doing this solo as a solopreneur, you're going to have to learn how to use these tools for yourself. Otherwise, I highly recommend hiring that out to someone who specializes in doing this kind of thing. And this will help you to just kind of expedite your business and get going with what you really want, which is to create your podcast. So clean up that background noise. And number 4, add some dynamic elements. So you want to layer in things like music and sound effects. You guys know all about how much I love that, because you're hearing music either now or you did in the beginning of the show, and you will again at the end. So even these subtle transitions can make your episode feel a lot more engaging and polished. Just make sure they complement your content without overwhelming your show, right? You don't want to have music throughout if it's not necessary, but it is really nice for some people to enjoy that background music throughout, and especially if the music is in sync and in tandem with the mood that you're trying to provide on the show. Use royalty-free music libraries, by the way, so don't just plop music into your show, but you'll want to use royalty-free, such as Audio Jungle, Epidemic Sound, which is what I use for high-quality tracks. And number 5, you want to make sure you EQ for clarity. So EQ stands for equalization, and it helps you bring out the best in your voice. For example, you can boost that mid-range frequency to make your voice clearer, or you can cut the low-end noise for a cleaner sound. Again, you can hire an audio technician or engineer to do this for you. Fiverr has plenty of them, or you can hire a company that is very much focused on helping you to polish up the sounds of your show. And so I'm going to leave links, of course, at the end of the show notes where you can find out about my services and how I can help you with all of these things. Number 4, you'll need tools of the trade. So let's talk about these tools and a few of the editing programs that I use or have used in the past that can help you achieve all of these professional sounds we've been talking about are Audacity, which is a free and powerful tool for beginners and for pros. So Audacity is free, and it's what I started on, and it has helped me tremendously in the first, I would say, decade of recording. So Audacity is helpful. GarageBand, you can use that. It's a great choice for Mac users with built-in effects. So there's no shame in using GarageBand. Use it. It's on your computer already if you have a Mac, and it's a great way to record your voice. And then there is Adobe Audition, which is perfect for advanced users who want more precision and control. And so I've been using Audition for a few years as well. Each tool has its strengths, so you want to find out one that works for your workflow and your level of expertise. Number 5, let's wrap this up and talk about workflow. Editing can be time consuming, but with the right approach, you can speed things up. So let's dive deeper into editing workflows, because let's face it, editing can feel overwhelming without a clear plan. Whether you're new to editing or you're a seasoned podcaster, having a streamlined workflow will save you time, energy, and frustration. So here's how to set up a smooth and efficient editing process. Number 1, you need to plan before you start recording, because your editing workflow starts long before you hit the record button. You'll have to plan your episodes with a clear outline so your recording stays focused and concise. And if you need help with that planning process, I do have a planning workbook for you available at my website, which I will leave a link to. But it is the Launch Confidently Podcasting Checklist, and you will love this workbook. If you haven't downloaded it yet, this is the time to do it, because it's free and it is my gift to my audience, to my listeners and viewers on YouTube. I want to get these tools and resources in your hands because I want to help you figure out how to get your podcast launched. And we want to launch with confidence, but we also want to launch with a plan. So this will take you through my 4-step process. And so I will leave a link to that in the show notes. I don't want you to miss out on that. So planning your episodes with a clear outline is going to help you with that focus, because the less rambling or off-topic content you have, the less time that you'll actually spend editing, right? So we're trying to cut down and reduce the time that we waste. That way we're more streamlined, more efficient, and you can produce more within a shorter period of time and get more done in other areas of your business. I'm pretty sure podcasting is only a small part of your business or your ministry or whatever you're doing your podcast for. So we don't want it to take all day long, right? So you'll want to make sure that you are editing at light speed, as much as that light speed means for you and what you're capable of doing. But the more you do it, the more efficient you become, the faster you will get, and the easier it will be for you. You'll also want to write down timestamps for key moments during the recording. That way, when you come back later, it's going to make your editing a lot faster. My second tip for you regarding editing is to batch them. So instead of editing one episode at a time, try batching your workflow. So you'll want to dedicate one session to cutting out mistakes and filler words, and then use another session to adjust those audio levels and clean up the noise, and then reserve your final session for adding music, transitions, and effects. So this approach keeps you focused on one task at a time and prevents burnout from trying to do everything all at one time. So batch your edits so that you can even be more efficient with that as well. And then thirdly, create an editing checklist. This should probably be number 2, because that checklist is going to help you get started with knowing what you need to do before you start editing. So for an example, for a checklist for editing would be to have one box you check off for removing filler words and long pauses. The second box could be for normalizing your audio levels. That's when you're compressing and you're equalizing. Then it could be, your third box could be for applying noise reduction. Your fourth could be for adding your intro and outro music. And your fifth could be listen through for a final quality check. Keep your checklist handy, keep it right beside you so that you can tweak it as you refine your process, but then you know exactly what you're doing step by step every single time you are starting your editing process, and it moves quickly. Number 4, use templates to save time. If you're not used to templates yet, this is your sign to go ahead and start using them. Most editing software allows you to create project templates where like recurring elements like your intro, your outro, and your music track are preloaded in. So this means you don't have to import or recreate these elements for every single episode. Just open your template, drop in your raw audio, and you're halfway there already. So I like to use templates to help just save time. Number 5, learn some keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts are a game changer when it comes to speeding up your editing process. So take the time to learn the most commonly used shortcuts in your software, like cutting or zooming in and out or applying effects. So Command I for importing in Adobe Audition or Adobe Premiere, those kinds of things will help you to move even quicker. So you might even want to keep a cheat sheet of shortcuts for your particular software right next to your workstation until they become second nature for you. Number 6, set a time limit for your edits, because perfectionism can be your worst enemy and it's easy to fall into the trap of over editing. So remember, your content does not have to be flawless. It has to be authentic, right? So set a time limit for your edits to avoid spending unnecessary hours tweaking those minor details. For someone who has been in business with podcast audits as well as podcast edits, I understand what it means to be familiar with your time frame. For example, if your episode is 30 minutes long, you want to aim to spend no more than 1 to 2 hours editing. So for me, it's either double or time and a half. So for me, when I'm editing, a 30-minute audio would take me about an hour and 15 minutes. So nowadays, if my episode is an hour long, I might spend 2 hours on that episode, or slightly less depending on how much I need to actually edit. Number 7, review your episode in real time. So once you finish editing, listen to your episode from start to finish in real time. This final review lets you catch any missed errors, any awkward transitions, or even audio levels. Make sure you're wearing your headphones when you do this final review, because you can't always notice things on those regular speakers. So do that. And then number 8, if you feel overwhelmed, Because editing is taking too much of your time, please don't be afraid to outsource. Hire a freelance editor or a company like mine. That's my pitch for you today. You can focus on other parts of your podcast like content creation and audience engagement, but we can edit for you. Platforms like Fiverr or Upwork or even podcast-specific services can offer options for every single budget. Just be sure to communicate your style and your expectations clearly to your editor. All right, y'all, that's it for today's episode of the Soul Podcasting Podcast. I hope these editing tips have you feeling ready to take your podcast sound to the next level. And if you're loving these tips, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube at Demetria Zinga for even more content on the solopreneur lifestyle. And until next time, stay creative, stay inspired, and keep sharing your voice with the world. I'll catch you in the next episode.